Hi, I'm Kristin from EMDC. I'm here with my colleague Will, who brings some
Hi.
skill set to our team. He's a planner for our Community Initiatives Department. Will, can you tell me a little bit about what you do at EMDC?
Yeah, I work with communities to plan for land use, housing, transportation, conservation, agriculture, forestry, climate change, resilient, all those types of things. Really what that looks like in my day-to-day is researching demographic trends, economic and fiscal indicators, looking at satellite imagery and digging through federal and state data, and trying to communicate that to people and engage around what they want their communities to look like and how to make those more resilient and happy.
It's really exciting and a lot of work. So during this series, we're obviously both at home right now. We've
Mhm.
been talking with colleagues about challenges that they face working from home, working remote. I'm sure working as a planner, you have to be engaging public officials and different local leaders. How are you doing that, specifically with comprehensive planning and things like that? How's that working out for you?
Yeah, that's a super important question. There are actually a lot of aspects to this work that legally require public engagement, and so it's a tough thing to broach. However, I think the crisis is really begging us to ask how we do that public engagement in the first place. So in rural spaces, those physical and social distances that we manage are really hard to get around, and so it's pretty typical for planning meetings to be poorly attended and for surveys to have a really low response rate in the best of times. I'm really interested in some of these adaptive tools we're using, like Zoom meetings, social media, collaborative writing tools, something called public participation GIS. These are all tools that can bridge that distance we're experiencing because of the pandemic we're experiencing, but they can also be used to bridge some of the distances we find in rural spaces. So really trying to lean into that as a solution looking into the future.
Yeah, technology, it's been great.
Yeah.
Just Zoom and online surveys and emails and conference calls, it's been so positive using it. So yeah, it's great. How can we use it to kind of make things better? So with the community initiatives team, how are we kind of staying engaged with our communities and letting them know while we figure these things out, that we're still here and providing services?
Yeah, I'm making a lot of phone calls, having a lot of e-meetings, sending emails. I'm really trying to be of any use I can. Really, the thing that I'm doing the most of is spending time chatting with colleagues beyond that immediate work. A lot of planning is about asking where do you want to go and how do you want to get there as a community, and that means that we're addressing the current crisis, but also we're trying to get a sense for what the next decade might look like. It's a big part of comprehensive planning is setting goals, making benchmarks, and steering that ship beyond the next 5, 10, 15 years. And so really trying to have conversations about that and learn a little bit more. That way people can get to know me as well, but it all goes into the comprehensive planning process.
It's really cool. So I have one last question for you. We've
Mhm.
talked a lot about GIS mapping because it's something that we're able to offer again with you on as a planner. Can you tell us a little bit more about that tool that we're offering?
Yeah, so GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. A good example of how I use it in my work is by mapping stormwater management infrastructure, things like dams and culverts, to show where there's a risk of flooding and erosion. While it would be nice to ensure that every one of those bits is 100% safe and perfectly maintained, we always have limited resources. And so being able to identify where to build and invest is important. We say that everything is related, but near things are more related than far things. And GIS is a really useful tool for answering those sorts of questions.
Wow, yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a great resource for communities and probably already is a great resource for our community. So thanks for telling us about that.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
great. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. Stay tuned. I think we'll have another conversation soon with another colleague about how we're working from home. And really appreciate you telling us more about the community initiatives team.
Sure, of course. Thank you so much.